Yo, today we're gonna do a vegan full day of eating for no reason at all, other than, guess I want to, mate. Fancy some lentils. I'm probably not gonna eat lentils. Just said it. Sometimes I say things. I'm nervous. Where was I? I'm not vegan, right? You don't have to be vegan to watch the video. You don't even have to be considering going vegan. Really, there's no prerequisites at all, other than obviously eyeballs and the internet. I'm not gonna be pro-vegan in this video. I'm not gonna be anti. Oh, that's a rare bird in my garden. What is it? Oh, I cannot identify that. Wow. Ooh, that's interesting. The body of a long-tailed tit, but a distinctively different pattern. Wow, what is it? Anyway, as I was saying, I'm just gonna be an impartial participant in the lifestyle for today. So we're just gonna cook some good shit. That's a promise. And maybe we'll even throw in some informative information. I'm not sure, but I've got a feeling that it's gonna be, what's that word now? Ideal, mate. So let's do it. All right, so before I could do a vegan full day of eating, I needed vegan food. So I went to some shops to purchase said food. Sainsbury's probably had the best selection out of all these supermarkets that I tried, to be honest, but I mean, I didn't try them all. So if there is a better one, then let me know. So the main protein sources that you'll find are tofu, tempeh, seitan, mycoprotein, and then things like pea, hemp, and brown rice protein that usually make up the protein blends that you'll find in vegan shakes. Tofu and tempeh are both made from soybeans. Tofu is made by curdling soy milk. That's why you often see it called bean curd, because it's soybeans curdled. You could say that tofu is to soy milk what cheese is to cow's milk. Tempeh is made by cooking and partially fermenting soybeans. Per 100 grams, tempeh tends to contain more protein than tofu, but per 100 calories, it's usually pretty similar since they both obviously come from soybeans. Side note, soybeans contain all 9 essential amino acids, so you could call both of these complete protein sources. Mycoprotein might not be one you've heard of, but that's the type of protein that you'll find in all corn products. It was actually invented and the process patented by the companies who owned corn. It's made from a fermented fungus and actually goes through quite a process, including heat treating it to remove excessive levels of DNA and RNA that can eventually cause gout. It sounds a bit sketchy to me. If I was vegan, I probably wouldn't be eating too much of this just because how processed it is makes me, you know, moderately uneasy. Side note, most prawn products aren't vegan because egg albumin is used as a binding agent. They do have a vegan range though, and that uses potato protein instead. All that being said, you can get some pretty high protein, low fat foods, and obviously, you know, that's all that matters because protein. Seitan is made by removing the starch from wheat, so you're just left with the gluten. It has a much meatier texture, so it's often used as a meat replacement. It is very high in protein, but some people do have concerns about eating something that is essentially 100% gluten. There's no lysine in seitan, which means it is not a complete protein source. Noisiest trackies in the world. So just a quick note on the phrase complete protein. So that refers to whether or not a food contains all 9 of the essential amino acids in quote unquote adequate amounts. Obviously if a food does, then that's great, I mean, it's ideal, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean it's not worth eating, because you can just eat other foods and make up your amino acid profile from, you know, an amalgamation of different protein sources. I think that's the whole point in a varied diet, and very few things that you eat contain absolutely everything that you need. Do you know what I mean? Apples don't contain much iron, but I'm probably not going to stop eating apples. I'll just make sure that I eat broccoli as well. You know, I think a varied diet is like ingrained in you, and that's why you feel so superior to everyone when you look at a salad or your plate and there's lots of colours on it. You immediately feel like I'm better than people. Probably going to live longer than them. It's a good feeling. Moral of the story, eat different stuff to get different stuff. Science. Anyway, back to our protein sources. The last main one to mention is the protein isolates that you can usually find as a blend or even on their own in vegan protein powders. Typically, pea, hemp and brown rice protein are the most common, but there are also a lot of others too. Obviously, these are coming from plants, so they have much more fiber than your whey protein, and that's why vegan protein powders can often be a bit gritty. Now, obviously, you can hit your government guideline protein intake without using any of those protein sources that I just mentioned, right? You can just eat beans and pulses and legumes, all that. Maybe a bean is a pulse. Who knows, right? Informative. Anyway, the problem with that is, right, eat government guidelines. Get government guidelines physique, right? No one wants a physique shaped by recommended daily amounts, mate. You know what I mean? No one ever prepped for Ibiza on government guidelines because they tell you to eat like 65 grams of protein a day, something like that. And you know, if you want to build and maintain muscle, that's probably not going to suffice, to be honest. You know what I mean? It might give you a, you know, front bench physique, you know what I mean? Cabinet Secretary of State physique, man. Anyway, so the issue is not like getting protein, it's getting protein in an isolated form, because if you do want to just, you know, get your entire protein intake and you want to eat a decent amount of protein solely through eating, you know, lentils and chickpeas, mate, just dal every night, then the trouble is your fiber intake is going to go through the roof, right? You know what I mean? And without wanting to get too graphic, like, you may experience some severe, mild to very severe fecal difficulties, mate. That's code for you're going to need a new hoop, right? Anyway, so, you know, that's the issue, that's the difficulty. It's getting these protein sources in an isolated form without your fiber going through the roof, your fat going through the roof, your carbs or your total calories going through the roof. Now, I imagine that was more of a problem maybe like 20 years ago when you didn't have all these things like corn and all these tofu products and stuff like that as readily available. And obviously now competition's getting greater, they should be getting cheaper, I hope, at some point, right? So hopefully through this video, I'm going to show that it's not too difficult to hit your protein without everything else being an absolute write-off, right? Okay, lunchtime, I think. So it's lunchtime. It's not actual lunchtime, it's time for lunch. It's not the same. Now, obviously I went to a few different supermarkets to look for vegan stuff, but I've also already got loads of stuff that qualifies as vegan, do you know what I mean? It's nice to use stuff you already got. So I was looking, I'm going to show you what I came up with for lunch, right? Don't expect, it's not the most gourmet, right? But I still think it's going to be legit. I want to make it look gourmet anyway, right? So I found this in the cupboard, which is just a packet of lentil bolognese, mate. Per half a pack, obviously I'm going to have a full pack, 1.7 grams of fat, 8.2 protein. Talk to me about that. That's 16 grams of protein straight in you, mate, straight down your neck, right? So to that, I'm going to add, brace yourself for freezer noise, corn pieces, mate, corn vegan pieces. So I'm going to put those together, and then also sent all the way from Italy, no joke, frozen spinach gnocchi. So I think I'm just going to like chuck it all together, tear up some basil, put that on top. It's going to be a low effort, pretty high reward meal, I think. You know what I mean? So obviously I'm not stood here making a bolognese from scratch, but you know what I mean? It's lunchtime, mate. No one makes a bolognese at lunch. That's crazy. If you make a bolognese at lunch, you're a psychopath or you need a hobby, mate. Dinner's fine. Anyway, point is, let's do it. Let's fucking do this. A lot of basil. No need for this sort of basil. You can't add too much, right? I'm saying that was decent, right? Right, this microphone is quite near my throat, which means you may experience some slightly disturbing chewing sounds. Right, I'm gonna give this a go. Honestly, it looks legit. You
Yeah, that's good, like, yeah, that's actually good. Like, I could eat this. Well, I haven't eaten it. Oh, when you hit the basil, it's just a different story, mate. Icing on the cake. The corn stuff itself, it's pretty nondescript, like. Oh. Yeah, there is a flavour to it when you eat it on its own. It tastes like chicken nugget or something. There's a flavour to it, but I don't know what the flavour is. It might just be, it tastes like fish finger or chicken nugget. Do you know what I mean? Like the batter. It's pretty nondescript. You can't not like it, basically. But with the pack of lentil bolognese, the gnocchi, the basil, it's a legit meal, man. It's good. I'm enjoying it. I had to add some chopped tomatoes because the bolognese was not really bolognese. It was just like, there was no real sauce to it. Do you know what I mean? So I added some chopped tomatoes, but there ain't much calories in that. I'm gonna eat this and then train.
Got your drink stuff.
Oh, there we are.
Should we check the tofu? It's really nice. As usual. It's a good one. We should eat this every day.
Literally. Actually would.
Yeah.
I'm finishing off my calories for the day with a bulk vegan protein brownie. Now you might be thinking like, oh, he's sponsored by Bulk Powder, so he's just like throwing like products in front of us. I mean, yeah, obviously, but these brownies I legit eat every night, even though, I was gonna say even though I'm not vegan, but obviously you still eat vegan stuff. 227 calories, 7 fat, 25 carbs, 15 protein. I think that's decent for a brownie. Usually vegan stuff is just not like the best, is it? But these are actually proper moist and nice. Right, you need to see the bottom because then you see the, when you focus on it, you see the choc chipness. You can almost see how moist it is, man. I think these, I'm gonna fast forward this bit because I'm chewing. Like when you're looking for a snack to finish off, do you know what I mean? I need to finish on something sweet. I can't just have my dinner and go bed. That's just not a great day for me, do you know what I mean? Not how I envisage my life, man. I have to finish on something nice, so this is my go-to these days. All right, we're just gonna go through some calories and macros really quickly before we finish out the video. Now, you won't have seen me doing much this video. That is on account of having to wear this monstrosity most of the day. It's a boot, TLDR, I hurt my foot, enough said. Anyway, so 165 grams of protein, 254 grams of carbs, 77 grams of fat, 2490 calories. So that is pretty bang on there or thereabouts where I want to be for a cut, which I am currently on. The only other thing to mention is that my fiber was at 54, which is probably a little bit higher than I would like it ideally, although That's not going to do you any harm, especially if you're used to a high fibre diet, right? If you suddenly jumped up to 54 grams of fibre off next to nothing, then, you know, it might be a bit of an issue, but I don't know, I'm sure it'll be fine. I was like very full most of the day, like 2,500-ish calories is not a lot for me to eat. So, you know, it's certainly true that keeping stuff vegan, if you keep your fat down, and also obviously that's related to the fibre, it is satiating, like it is filling. Like after that second meal, I was waiting for a while, you know, to be ready to train. I felt like I was getting more full over the next few hours rather than less full. So there's that. That's my only observation really. It was probably more expensive than my usual daily eats, but you know, YouTube money, innit? So anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought the meals were tasty. Yeah, I'd do it again, mate. Only mild anxiety about losing all my gains. Just kidding, right? Hope you enjoyed the video. See you later. Ciao. Bye. Au revoir, arrivederci. Sayonara. Yeah, I'm done.
Jordan Lenny is my hero.